All right, just wanted to stop by and give a special congrats to the Tampa Bay Rays and their fans, since you're going to be staying in St. Pete after all the talk of, oh, they're going to go to Montreal, oh, they're going to split time between Montreal and Tampa, or they're going to have to move somewhere else in Florida or somewhere else in the country. Where's the Rays going to be moved to next? Nope, you're staying in St. Pete, and you get to get out of that terrible ballpark that is Tropicana Field that, historically nobody has liked, including a lot of players that have played there. But you're going to get a nice new stadium. The designs for it look fantastic. It's going to be nice and spacious, inviting for the fans. I love the look of the roof. I do hope that the turf that they're showing is more of the newer style turf and not kind of like the old Olympic Stadium, Astrodome turf that's a little more flat. Looks like, the carpet from my basement when I was a kid. But it's looking great. I'm really excited for you guys to be able to stay there, build an already successful organization that's putting out winners seemingly every season in a nice new ballpark. Sucks you're going to have to wait till 2028 for it, but I think it's going to be worth the wait because that is going to be a great place to play baseball. And historically, new stadiums get all-star games. So an all-star game in Tampa sounds good to me.
Yeah, buddy, we're back here for another week, episode 77. Thank you for tuning in. This is Cinco Squad. My name is Jonathan. With me are my brothers Mike, Jamie, and TreyDay. Fellas, happy Thursday. How you guys doing?
Did I just did I just go backwards in time, baby? What in the house tonight?
We didn't like the last of the week last week.
Yeah, Jamie, you're now Jamie now. You've earned that title.
Yeah.
Congrats. You can have your name back.
Let's go. Bro, all my son was like, how come your grandpa Jay? I'm like, because y'all doing this to me. That's why.
Get me sick, goddammit. Well, fellas, it was a great weekend of football. We had a lot of exciting games, NFL and college, plus baseball is winding down. Sports season's starting to heat up. We got NBA coming around the corner, NHL. But you know what you can do is you can go get yourself one of those type of jerseys at fansidea.com using our discount code Cinco Squad 10. As you see, Mike's got on our Cinco Squad jersey. So do I. And go to fansidea.com. Get yourself a jersey for the upcoming season. Rep your brand, rep your team, rep whatever you want, and get yourself 10% off. Cinco Squad 10. That's Cinco Squad 10. And get yourself some merch. Moving into our, of course, typical of the week is what's on Mike's mind. We got to go and hear what he's got on his mind this week. Last week's stat was actually really interesting with the Tony Gwynn. So I'm interested if you can top that this week, Mike.
Well, everyone needs a little bit of help every once in a while. And let's see if I can use a little bit to top it. Another shout out to Grandpa Jay, or Jamie, as he is now more affectionately known as, for throwing me a little bit of a fact about the world of the NFL midweek, because I can't believe this is a thing, and it's unfortunate for one NFL organization. So, after this past week's game, Minnesota Vikings star wide receiver Justin Jefferson, usually the first round pick in most fantasy drafts this year, including to Jamie, now has more career receiving yards than the entire history of receivers for the Chicago Bears. Now, for context, Justin Jefferson is 24 years old, and the Chicago Bears have been around for over 100. So, hey, Bears, how about you get yourself a receiver that can get more yards than a 24?
Throw the ball, Ditka.
Yeah, maybe.
How about you get him an offensive line so he can throw the ball?
Well, there's that too.
Scrambling for his life.
I know, right? I know Justin Fields. I know he can run. Doesn't mean he has to run all the time.
Right. It's not a crazy stat. Like Brandon Marshall was a 6-time Pro Bowl. I don't know how many of those years were in Chicago.
He wasn't there that long. Brandon Marshall played everywhere like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
He never stayed anywhere.
That's such a crazy stat.
I think actually Mike Ditka is up there in their receiving.
Well, it's not a surprise, right? Like Justin Jefferson, gets at least like 10 to 15 targets a game, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a surprise that he's is at that height in his career already, because realistically, Kirk Cousins is just throwing it to him all the time. So imagine if he went to like a team like Kansas City or someone with a quarterback that's not Kirk Cousins.
I don't know. I think it favors that Cousins likes his number one. He always has.
Yeah.
So,
Looking at the list, the first pure wide receiver on the list is fourth.
Wow.
It's Walter Payton, a running back, Matt Forte, a running back, and Johnny Morris, who played wide receiver and running back.
Wow.
And yes, Mike Ditka is sixth.
Okay.
That's
So, yeah. But while we have those locked in, the receiving leaders are locked in as all of those guys are retired. You know what I want to hear get locked in? Jamie's locks of the week.
Talk to me, people. Talk to
Jay,
me.
take it
Bring it
away.
in. Bring it in. Bring it in. All right, everybody. It's that time again. It's time for our locks of the week here, brought to you by Fans Idea. Cinco Squad 10. Use the discount code. Get on Fans Idea. Any jersey, any color, any customized way you want it. They will deliver. So here's what I delivered for you guys last week. A big dub, baby. I told you guys. Look, this is the lock here. We got to run with this lock right here. I hope you guys put that lock in. Unfortunately, for Colorado, they almost lost the game. It's a better story that Colorado's winning, so thankfully. But I knew they were going to get a game. This was Colorado State's circle game. This was their Super Bowl. There was no way those kids weren't going to show up and give 110%. My sexy pick, not so much. Bengals started 0-2 last year. Same Bengals this year. We'll see if they can bounce back this week. I think they will. But we're staying away from the Bengals this week. I promise you guys that. Here's what I know is going to happen this week. Kansas City will look like Kansas City against the Chicago Bears. The line right now is 12.5. This looks like a Kansas City 20-plus point win. Lock it in, baby. I don't think the Bears put up even 10 points in this game. This reeks of a 38-10, maybe even a 41-10 game. Lots of turnovers. Looks like Justin Fields might be, who knows, sidelined after this one. I think they have to stick with him. I'm not sure there's another option. They got to go ahead and just see what the kid can do for them. Like John said already, the kid doesn't have an offensive line. You can't put it all on him. But Kansas City Chiefs, lock it in, baby. It's only 12.5. I thought this was supposed to be as close to 14.5 or 15 or one of those crazy 17.5 point lines. They're going to destroy the Chicago Bears this weekend. The most interesting game, though, is the pick-em between the Vikings and the Chargers. Can the Chargers really start the season 0-3? Can the Vikings lose their first two games at home? I think they will, because I don't think the Chargers start 0-3. So my sexy pick of the week, take the Chargers in a pick-em. There's no way they start 0-3. This team is too good for that. Whether Eckler plays or not, doesn't matter to me. They're going to beat the Vikings because the Vikings look like the frauds they were last year, and they're going to be 1-2. And by the way, if you want to bet on Saturday and win some money first, Florida State over Clemson, it's only 2.5. That was a trap game against Boston College. Give me Florida State all day long.
Excusez-moi.
Yes.
I have a bet. I'm going to take my
Put them up on the big screen,
Ohio
baby.
State Buckeyes against Notre Dame in the money line, and I am going to bet Mike DeSanto over there. If my Ohio State Buckeyes win, I'm going to need 12 back of Modelo. If your Notre Dame Irish win, which they won't, I will get you a 12-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade. We'll see what Mike's drinking. Money line, we're going straight up. Don't care about
you're
the
on.
point. This is a straight-up bet.
Yep. Winner take all.
Winner take all. Lock
You're
it
on.
in. That is
Lock
Trey's
it in.
Lock
Lock
of
that
the week. All right, NFL. So let's talk about primetime games. Primetime games are supposed to be something that's special. It's supposed to be like a highlight moment for the team. That's why you had to open a game where one team plays and that's the only team playing. That's why usually we have a Sunday night game. And it's like Carrie Underwood, she's doing the waiting all night for Sunday night and all that type of thing. We get to Monday night. We used to have, I forgot the guy's name, but the country singer used to do the Monday Night Football, and that was all great and dandy. Every once in a while, they would do the once a year where it would be the one Monday Night Football game. What I'm not getting here is, why are we doing multiple Monday Night Football games and it's not after week one? Now, y'all wanted to highlight Aaron Rodgers in week one, so y'all didn't do two. All right, I get it, whatever. Last week comes up, we go out here, we have the Browns Steelers playing, we have the Saints and Panthers playing. And that's perfectly fine if you want to do it, even if I don't agree with it, because I think those teams deserve to be highlighted. But if I'm watching the Browns and Steelers game, do not put on the Saints and Panthers game in a double box. If I wanted to watch a Saints and Panthers game in a double box, I would have put on a double box view. I would have put on my second TV, or I would have watched the Saints and Panthers game. But instead, I'm trying to watch the Browns and Steelers game. Now we got to minimize screen. I got to sit here and watch the Saints and Panthers game in the corner. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to see the whole field of my team actually playing. So I'm pretty sure most Browns and Steelers fans didn't appreciate it. I don't know if they did the same during the Saints and Panthers game. You know why I didn't watch it? Because I didn't give a damn about that game. Because I wanted to watch my team play. If I wanted to watch that game, I would have watched that game. And in NFL, you got the nerve to do it again? We just went through this. So then this week, you're going to piss off these fans. Now the Rams are going to play the Bengals on Monday night. We're going to have the Eagles play the Bucks. So now what, the Eagles and Bucks fans are going to have to split with the Rams and Bengals? If you're going to have Monday night be special, make it special. Do not split the time, please.
So as Trey was saying, he was heated about the Monday night games. It brought up a good question about the teams that are 2-0. Since 64% of the teams who start the season 2-0 make the playoffs, who is the biggest pretender and the toughest contender of that current list of teams? And the teams are the Dolphins, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Commanders, the Falcons, Saints, Buccaneers, and the 49ers. So I'm gonna take it over to Grandpa Jay. Who do you think is the biggest pretender and the toughest contender in this list?
All right, so mathematically, what that's basically saying is 5, maybe 6 of these teams are guaranteed. It's a lock. I'm going to go on the pretender side first. Okay. And not because I don't like them and they're in our division. I just think they're a fraud, and that's the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm going to tell you why they're a fraud. Okay, let's talk numbers right here. Even though they're 4th in rushing yards overall, they're probably the premier rushing team in the NFL other than the Cleveland Browns right now, and not so much after losing Nick Chubb. They're 28th in passing yards. 32% conversions on third down has them in the bottom 5 of the league. And here's what we know about the modern day NFL. A run-first offense doesn't really make deep runs in the playoff, especially if you don't have a running quarterback. And Mr. DeRidder is the furthest thing from that. Apart from that, Kyle Pitts has not proven to be who he was at Florida. The kid was a monster at Florida. He just hasn't shown up in the NFL yet, and they need that X weapon. They need the X if they're going to make a run in the playoffs and surprise people. I think the Falcon season falls apart. If they're 8-9, that's the best they can hope for. So I think the Falcons are the biggest pretender on this list. It hurts my heart that I tried so hard to go somewhere else. But unfortunately, I have to go with the Dallas Cowboys as the toughest contender right now. And I'm just talking numbers here. Who works out for me? I know. Bring it on. Bring it on. But here's what we've seen from Dallas. They've given up 5 points in 2 games. I know they played Mikey. They played you at your worst. And then they played one of the worst teams in the
Giants
NFL.
And the Jets.
Okay? We get a Jets team that's pretty much now reeling it back in and figuring out their game plan for the rest of the season. Their defense is legit, okay? First in pass and defense, first in points scored, of course, like I just said. The offense, not so much. But if the defense is doing it for you, like the Ravens did when they won a Super Bowl about 20-plus years ago, you don't need the offense to be that great. And maybe this is what Dak needed. Maybe Dak finally needed to realize, I don't have to win the game with my arm. And Tony Pollard looks like a much better fit than Zeke did last year and the year before as their go-to guy. It hurts my heart. I was trying to go every other way, but the toughest contender right now looks like the Dallas Cowboys. Trey, I want to hear what you think.
All right, so for me, 2 of the teams are 2-0. I actually my Super Bowl picks to actually play each other in the Super Bowl. So I guess I was conflicted because I actually believe in both of these teams. I only talk about one of the two. The 2 teams, by the way, as I actually picked before the season started, the San Francisco 49ers to play the Miami Dolphins in the Super Bowl. I know that was a little bit out there, but that was my pick. But for the sake of today's talk, we are going to talk about the Miami Dolphins today. The Miami Dolphins, with that team, when you have that much speed outside, you have Waddle out here running the 4-3. You have Tyreek running the 4-3. You have in the backfield, you have Raheem Mostert running the 4-3. With that much ridiculous speed, it is hard to keep up with those guys. Mike McDaniels is screaming with just getting these guys open, running these. It's basically like they're getting a head start. He's sending people in motion. They're immediately just sprinting off the line, something crazy. Do take in mind the defense is pretty good right now, but they don't have Jalen Ramsey yet, so they're only going to get better there. You actually still have your other who they thought was going to be starting running back, and Jeff Wilson. He's out for the first 4 weeks. You're actually going to have more reinforcements, and you're not going to have somebody who can punch in on a 3rd and 1. You're going to have a lockdown corner. So I do have to look at the Miami Dolphins. They keep Tua upright, and they've done a good job of keeping them upright. Them dudes are scary because I don't care what type of corner you got. you can't coach speed. And that is the thing that they have is you can't coach speed. Because every time Tyreek goes in motion, 3 linebackers start looking at him, and you're like, oh, shit, I forgot. Jalen Waddle runs a 4-3 on the other side. You start running and scurrying this way, and then you're like, oh, sure, I can hear him go back this way. Because Tyreek is just moving. And then two is just getting the ball out to them fellas. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about the Miami Dolphins right now. And the other one last factor for Miami Dolphins is the Jets are already basically out the playoff race at this point once Aaron Rodgers went down. The Bills, they just don't have enough weapons. Let's be honest. The reason people are banking on the Bills is because of 2 people, Allen and Diggs. Look at the Dolphins' weapons. Look at the Bills' weapons. You do the math. You see how it's going to end. The Patriots, I'm not going to say anything. They're the Patriots. Look at that team. They're hot garbage. So with that being said, the Dolphins, why wouldn't they run through this division? And why wouldn't they run their ass to the Super Bowl? Health permitting. Mike, what you got up there? Your Giants
Hold on. What's your biggest
wait a minute. I forgot. My biggest pretender. Okay. Hate to break it to you, Jay. Yeah, I'm going to say it. It's Baker Mayfield. You're damn right.
Zero turnovers, buddy. Zero turnovers in 2 games.
He's going to turn. It's Baker Mayfield. Come on. You know what's coming. Come on. It's Baker. We really going to trust Baker Mayfield out here? I mean, yeah, Mike Evans and Godwin are good and all, but are we really going to trust the Baker man? No.
All he needed was to come into the Florida oven and bake that skin in this beautiful gold.
I will give Baker Mayfield this. He looks better than the massage artist up there in Cleveland right now. So maybe they might have made the wrong decision, but it's Baker Mayfield. Baker's going to do Baker things. What's going to happen is y'all are probably going to start off hot, and then Baker's going to start feeling himself. Flo going to come back in. He going to get a leather insurance commercial, and then he going to need some insurance because he's going to start fucking up because that's what Baker does. Baker is going to throw this off the rails at some point. Trust and believe it. I do not trust that man when it all is said and done. And I do actually believe in the Saints over there. Actually, that wouldn't be my pick for this, but I do actually believe in what they got going a hell of a lot more than believing in Baker damn Mayfield. Sorry.
Hey, but you know what? Since you bring that up, John, you and I should throw a friendly rage out here at some point in the show because they're going to prove to be protected.
Both our teams are playing each other this weekend. All 4 of us are playing. You're playing in the college ranks, so we'll throw it in here at the end at the end here. But Trey, one thing I have to say about the Dolphins: doesn't the defense scare you because of the amount of points they've given up in the past 2 games?
No, they don't have their best defensive player.
Who's that?
Jalen Ramsey. He's not playing right now. Jalen Ramsey be back. That locks off half of the field. You take him out, you're not taking out the best receiver on the other team. So, yeah, I'm not as concerned about that. And at the end of the day, the NFL is so skewed to points. The points are going to always keep you in the game. If your defense can sustain, then you'll be all right. They'll figure it out as time. And then even last week, they didn't have Jalen Phillips in play. So you were missing out, something up front. So they'll figure that out at the end of the day.
But isn't McDaniel a disciple of Shanahan? McDaniel came from Shanahan's coaching tree, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Shanahan.
Yeah. So that would be an interesting matchup if the Super Bowl does it. Yeah.
Well, it was in Washington. I mean, it was like McVay, Shanahan, and McDaniel. All in Washington.
Yeah, all of them young dudes were all
in Washington. I think the biggest thing that I see with the Dolphins is that their pass protection is better this year, which I'm like just getting some points on what you were saying. But the thing that scares me is the front 7 on the defensive side is not getting enough pressure to the quarterback, which is allowing quarterbacks to sit in the pocket for an average of like 3 to 5 seconds, which is a long time for a quarterback to sit there. So I think that's what worries me about the defense. I hear what you're saying about Jalen Ramsey coming back, but I would expect Chubb. I'm expecting Chubb to get more of a presence, and especially for what they traded for. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah. Eventually, I mean, he has to do better than what he's basically done. So, I mean, I can definitely see that. But I think they'll figure it out. I mean, honestly, even if you don't get as much of a pass rush, it's better to have better DBs back there at some point. Not saying that you just kind of bank on that. But like I said, when you were missing Phillips, you were missing, another key part on top of the Ramsey factor. Chubb has really not been there that long. So I do think he's going to eventually pick his rhythm up, and they'll get better as time goes. The other thing for them, what I really do like as far as contender, if they start really kicking and they do get to the playoffs and they're at home, then they don't have to worry about going to these cold weather areas, which has always been an issue. But I think they'll actually walk in as either a 1 or 2 seed, so they won't have to worry about going up to Foxborough. Well, they won't have to worry about going to Foxborough. They're not going to playoffs. They won't have to worry about going up to the Bills or going out to Arrowhead where it may be slow and maybe you neutralize some of these guys at that point. The other thing, too, even with Tua, is actually underrated. I like Mike White as one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. So if Tua does have to miss 2 or 3 games, they're in a hell of a lot better position. And I would say, shit, if we look at all of our teams right now on the screen, I would take some of our backups probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I like Tyrod, but yeah.
Tyrod, all right. I mean, I'd definitely take his ass over Mason Rudolph and Mr. Trubisky around here on my team.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know who's the Bucks back. Was it Blaine Gabbert or somebody said?
Is it still Blaine Gabbert?
Oh
no, wait, it's Kyle Trask.
Kyle Trask. All right, yeah, exactly. I would take Blaine Gabbert.
I don't know. What about Mariota?
No, I'll definitely take more Mariota. I'm sorry.
We don't have a backup. We got Donovan McNabb.
Coming out of retirement.
I figure AJ Brown was gonna go back and run Wildcat if it all got real there.
We might as well. The way Mariota looked in the preseason, I'm good. Just give it to Quez Watkins used to be a quarterback in college. Just give it to him. There we go. So let's go with that. Man. All right, Mike, take it away with your pretender and contender.
Okay, so we're gonna start. Huh? No, I would never.
Jersey behind you.
What?
Isn't that a Cowboys jersey behind you?
Which one? That one?
And you really looked.
I know, right?
Is he on one?
No, I'm trying to understand which one you think would be.
You know that you don't have one, so why would you?
You know you don't have one behind you. You've seen 3 jerseys always.
Which one? I didn't know about that.
I know Gary Sheffield didn't pay for
it. If we were all in studio, we could exchange out each. It would be funny to fuck with each other, just put each jerseys.
No, and then see, and that's half the expectation is that at some point someone's going to visit and they're going to fuck with my jerseys. Okay, so we're going to start off with our pretender. I was really tempted to go with the Falcons because I think they're not as good as they have. I don't think they're as good as they've looked, but factoring in that division, I think the Falcons have a much better chance to win that division than my pretender, which is the Washington Commanders. Now,
they were on my list too.
It's no disrespect to the Commanders. I think they are a growing, developing team that I think is going to be good down the line. I like Sam Howell. I think he's starting to develop into a very good quarterback. But let's take a look at who they've played already. They opened the season with Arizona, widely considered a bottom 5 team in the Caleb Williams hunt. They then played Denver, which we've talked about a few times on the show, is in the first year of a new head coach. Why are people laughing?
Because you were saying Arizona and the Giants got taken to the final buzzer with the Arizona stuff. It was just funny. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. So did the Commanders.
You played to win the game.
You played to win the game.
Right. So I was just saying, Commanders did the same thing.
Drop it on him, Mikey.
So go for it. My bad. I'm sorry. Me and Jamie just looked at each other.
Take go ahead, Mike. Listen, if the Giants were on this list, I might consider saying them. Yeah, so after that, in week 2, they played the Broncos, and we've talked about a few times on the show how the Broncos, on paper, are not a bad team, but they are in the first season of a new head coach who's going to want to bring in his guys, and so they're probably not necessarily in a rebuild so much as kind of they're in that middle ground where it's they could be pretty good, but you wouldn't expect them to necessarily be a full contender yet under Peyton. So the Commanders have looked fine, but they haven't played in division yet. And I will say, I think the Giants are better than they've shown the last 2 weeks. I think they finally were able to score the football, and you saw how that jump started them. And then the Cowboys have looked fantastic, and the Eagles have looked fantastic for the most part. They've held it. So I just think when I looked at all these teams and I thought about, okay, who's got the best chance to win their division and who doesn't, I looked at the Commanders and I'm like, man, they haven't played any in-division games yet. And that's 6 games that they could potentially lose all of them. I don't know if they will because that's usually not how the NFC East works. Usually we beat each other up during the season, other than the Giants and the Eagles, apparently. But I just think the Commanders have the least chance to do it. And so that's why they're my pretender. And to my contender, really don't want to. It's not the Cowboys. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I'm still hanging on to that. Philadelphia Eagles, I think, are the biggest contender. And that's because they're getting their bumps in the road out of the way early. I think that if you look at this roster, it's a deeper team than the team that went to the Super Bowl and lost, but went to the Super Bowl last year. So I just think if they're able to continue to correct their mistakes as they have in the first 2 weeks during the game, they've got good coaching. Hurts has proven that he can be a franchise quarterback. The team's deep, and I just think by the time we get to playoffs, they're probably going to be rolling and they're going to be on fire, much to my chagrin and disappointment. So my contender is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Are you willing to go out on a limb? Are you willing to go out on a limb and say that Miami could end up in the Super Bowl with Philly, and we have probably the best 2 receiver duos in the league going at each other?
That is, I think, possible.
The thing with the Commanders, I think they'll make the playoffs, in my opinion.
Wow!
But
Really?
because I think when I was looking at the standings, I'm just going through each of this right as a wild card, not as a winner of the division, right? I don't know if that was the question I asked in the beginning, who's winning the division. But
no, it was a pretender and contender.
But I'm looking at like the Vikings have taken a step back since last year. You know, I think there's only one team coming out of the South. You know, the West is kind of up in the air. The Seahawks looked great in the first game, then kind of fell off in the second game. You know, and who knows? So I'm saying, like, with 3 teams in the NFC East that are 2-0. I mean, we put in 3 teams last year with the Giants, so I could see them sneaking in at a wild card in the last seed, kind of like what the Giants did last year in that aspect.
Yeah,
I don't trust them. I just don't.
It's tough without knowing the quarterback. You know, you're up in the air with him because like Sam Howell, North Carolina kid. You don't really know.
Sam who? Sam Howell. Sam who?
This ain't even about Sam Howell. The reason I don't trust him partly is because I'm gonna say this right now. One of the most overrated coaches in the NFL is Ron Rivera, and I would
do that to the man.
You have said that before.
Don't do it to that man for what? Look at the facts. The man has been under 500 8 out of 12 of his coaching seasons. Under 500. The man can barely get to 8-8.
That's because you overrate Cam Newton all the damn time, and that was his quarterback for most of those years.
Overrate Cam Newton. That was the one season he got. 15-1 was because of Cam Newton. At the end of the day, the man is 8 seasons, and he's never been over 500 as the Washington Commanders coach. So excuse Cam Newton. Cam Newton is the reason he has a couple over 500 seasons. So no, I just don't see it with Ron Rivera the way people always are like, oh my God, Ron Rivera, because y'all like him and he's a cool guy. That's all nice and dandy and shit, but the guy's an overrated coach. Most coaches go under 500 for over 50% of their career, and we would be critical of these people. I get that the man's a cancer survivor and all that sort of thing, but that don't mean we supposed to make Lance Armstrong a goddamn football coach because he has a cancer survivor. There's nothing personal there, but I just think Ron Rivera is an overrated coach. So I think when it all gets said and done, I'm not going to trust him more than I'm going to trust your boy Dable up there. If it get tight between them, the Cowboys, I don't trust I don't trust the coach as much, but I trust the talent there. And the Eagles damn will have a better coach and talent. So I don't trust them to even not finish 4th in the division. I still think they're the 4th team in that division. They ain't making the playoffs. They finished the 4th in that division. Once they all start getting in there, they have to start trying to figure out how to go tackle Jalen Hurts, or if Saquon figure that shit out, or I figure Dave will just figure something out or anything like that. No, the Commanders, they are pretenders. They can't even figure out the football team.
Come on, John, do it. Make them your contender.
John,
come on, John, do it.
Do it. So it's my turn. Fly, Eagles, fly. Touchdown.
Okay,
1,
next
2,
topic.
3. I gotta go with my Birds. I'm not gonna not go with them. They're the biggest contender in the NFC. They have had some bumps in the road in the first couple games. I'm going to take them as my, of course, I'm not going to take the Niners. They have looked good, the Niners, but ultimately, I think the Birds are getting their lumps out right now. They're getting their injuries out. They got a brand new offensive coordinator. The greatest thing I was saying to you guys in our group chat is the one thing I like about our offensive and defensive coordinator is the in-game adjustments. Right? When you have a new offensive coordinator, when you have a new defensive coordinator, it's not going to look great the first 4 or 5 games. But what you have to look at is the in-game adjustments that they're making. Can they notice that what they're doing isn't working and adjust to it? Like going to the run. They ran it 12 out of 15 times on that drive, on the second drive or third drive of the game for the Eagles, and went right down and scored a touchdown. DeAndre Swift had 170 yards with 1 touchdown. When's the last time he had that? Probably in college, right? So I'm gonna stick with my boys. I think they're gonna get it together. They got a gauntlet of a schedule coming up after Week 10. They got Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Seahawks, Dolphins, then back to New York, and then finish off with the Commanders in New York again. So it's going to be a tough road, but I still think they're the biggest contender because they're going to have the biggest, gauntlet of a schedule. My biggest pretender is them boys down in Dallas. They are the pretenders in this league. They played the fucking Giants and the Jets. Zach Wilson, Jets. A mediocre Giants team with a mediocre defense. Okay, so no offense, Mike, but it's the truth. You even said it. Your secondary is weak. And what did Dak do? He threw it all over the field. I think this team proves year in and year out the fact that they get to the playoffs and they do nothing. Right? Last year they contended with the Niners pretty good, but who came up on top? And Dak had a chance to win the game as well there. I don't trust Dak in the playoffs. I don't trust Dak, in a deep postseason run, and I don't trust Dak throughout the whole season. So even though he's got weapons, I still don't trust it. So they're my biggest pretender because they haven't really played anyone yet, and it's only 2 games. So yeah, they look okay, but I won't put them up there.
I don't even think Dak's the main problem. Like Mike McCarthy's the main problem.
No, it's Dak. I mean, his decision making.
Dak didn't make that play call at the end of the game last year.
What play call?
The one that put Ezekiel Elliott as the only blocker.
Never forget that it's the last play.
Zeke also, but historically, Dak is the one that's making before McCarthy. I mean, Dak goes and runs out a 39-yard play with 10 seconds left to go in the game and slides and doesn't realize how much time he has left. You're supposed to be the captain of the team, $40 million quarterback. I'm putting the blame on you. Like, look, okay. But they didn't really
count this year, bro. The pass don't count this year. And neither does your point about playing this. Look, I'll give you this. The Jets have the worst record in football in the last 5 years. 24 wins. The Giants pretty close, 28 wins. So probably 2 of the worst teams in the last 5 years. But the pass don't count. Like this year is this year. You got to just run with what this year is.
We keep saying that, and the fact is, I look at trends, and the trends are Dallas has won 1 playoff game in 25 years. I don't trust them. I don't trust them late in the season. I just don't. And if they do prove me wrong, well, go for it. But you know what? They're going to have to go through Philly in order to get to there. So,
well, I'm going to be Skip Bayless pushing it in your face if they do, so you don't have to worry about that.
yeah, you will.
Yep.
No, I won't.
I will say, though, my biggest sleeper right now, I just want to throw this out here. My sleeper right now is the Atlanta Falcons for a contender to make the playoffs and maybe scare some teams like the Giants did last year with the Vikings.
Okay.
Falcons look good. They have a good offense. I think Rattler, I don't know if he's the guy. I think he's good enough to get the job done. What did I say? Rattler? Rattler from South Carolina. I was getting Ritter. I think Ritter is good enough to get them into the playoffs. I don't know if he's the guy. We got to see throughout the season. Right. But they got Bijan Robinson, who's probably the number 1 back in the league right now. They have Cordell Patterson, Kyle Pitts. Pitts is kind of
play anymore.
What's that?
He's been active the last 2 weeks. They don't use him.
Really?
Yeah. They've turned it to Tyler Algier.
They use Tyler Algier.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah. Because they were making this big deal. It was weird. They were making this big deal that they list him on the depth chart as Jay. So he's a joker on their team.
He's the Swiss Army knife that just goes everywhere.
He's literally not even dressed the last 2 weeks.
That's crazy, though.
Who hasn't dressed?
Well, he's older, and I know he came out of camp.
Or if he did dress, he didn't play any snaps.
Cordell? Yeah.
Cordell, yeah. So, yeah. But anyways, I mean, I think they got a young defense that's, rearing to go. The good thing with the Falcons is that, they play inside a dome and they don't really have to deal with weather for at least 8 to 9 games a season. So that's always was always good.
You
But
know
I
what
can see that.
though, of what you said with the weather. To be honest, I think they would be better if they did play in weather because their whole game is
Run first offense.
They would actually better off going
Pound, pound,
outside
pound.
because they would actually beat the shit out of you in the middle of a winter storm more than most teams. So
Yeah.
if anything, I'd be more scared if they were on the road and someone had to go play like one of those. Like let's say the Packers got in and they had to go like the Lambeau. I actually could see them beat them because they would just give Bijan the ball, give Algier the ball, and just pound the shit out of it instead of doing like finesse. They're not built for finesse at all. Actually, they don't.
And the same thing, right?
Their
Their defense is top 3 right now in total yards. So their defense seems legit. However, it was against Carolina and Green Bay. And I think if Green Bay was 2-0 and they won that game, they would have been my biggest pretender because Jordan Love ain't throwing 3 touchdowns a game.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see down the road. I mean, I know Chris Collinsworth, I think it was, that was saying that about Aaron Rodgers, and that they always show that highlight of him. It was at Minnesota. He's like, this kid will never do anything. Like, he's never going to be even close to what Brett Favre was. And then all of a sudden, look what we have 15, 20 years later. So,
yeah.
Oh, man. It's been a year for the running backs here. Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, Jonathan Taylor sitting out. You have an unfortunate injury in Nick Chubb to that same knee that he had, and many more. Jamal Williams out. I alluded to this back in a few months ago before the season that the running backs deserve to get paid because they are the workhorse of the offense besides the offensive linemen. And ultimately, it's proving that way because no other position player is getting hurt as much as the running backs right now. We're seeing a lot of injuries out there as we normally do around this time. But man, it sucks to see these guys go hurt because ultimately they are giving the owners and GMs reason why not to give them those big contracts and those long-term contracts is they can't stay on the field. And, it's no fault of their own. They're just playing football at a very high rate. And unfortunately, they have to go into the dog piles and get tackled. And then unfortunately, Nick Chubb on Monday Night Football gets his knee taken out again. I hope he comes back stronger than ever. It sucks because GMs are going to be like, no, we're not paying any running backs. Look how many went down this year that were stars and how many backups we had to go. Matson can't hold on to the ball in Minnesota, so they went and got Cam Akers. It's unfortunate because they do deserve all the money that they get because they get the buttload of the carries and everything. But man. These poor running backs are never going to get their contracts that they deserve. But speaking about running backs that I was just alluding to in my rant, going back into college, the ranks, and with all the injuries with the running backs, I have a question for you guys about, so should college football players be able to leave a lot sooner than they already can? Mike, I want to hear what you have thoughts on that.
No. Because of
all right, Trey.
Because of the fact that football is such a physical game. I understand these kids are coming out of high school, they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, but biologically they are still more susceptible to injury at that younger age than they would be a few years later. It's biology. It's how your body is reactive, and I don't want to say fragile or gentle. It's just how bones and muscles and tendons and stuff develop. So I think the idea that they have to wait 3 years is actually a good idea to make sure that they are in the best possible shape they can to be able to withstand the car crash level hits that have been measured for NFL games. I mean, they say that, especially in the NFL, I mean, it's true in college football in a lot of cases, especially with the fact that they're bigger, faster, and stronger. But in the NFL, they say every play that you get hit is like being in a small car crash. And so I think as much as I understand they want to go get their money and, they want to be able to make it to the league and don't want to risk the injury in college. Well, if you're getting the injury in college, you're going to get the injury in the NFL. But these guys in the NFL, we talk about how the transition from college to the pros all the time. It's every good, biggest, fastest, most athletic kids that you are facing in college on all these different teams, all on one team, and they're all hitting you at the same time. So the force is going to be greater. The weight is going to be greater. And so that injury that could be a sprained ankle in college may end up being a popped Achilles in the NFL. So I'm on the side of keep them on that 3-year limit. That's my personal opinion. Trey?
Have you guys ever heard of Lewis and Clark College? Any of you ever heard of that college?
Vaguely.
It's in Oregon. Do you know who is currently the running back coach of Lewis and Clark College?
No, we don't.
LaMichael
There's
James.
a guy once you said who?
LaMichael James?
No, similar era though. There was this guy he used to play. If y'all remember, familiar with him. Guy was a beast. Played in South Carolina. Name was Marcus Lattimore. Guy was
yeah.
And then I just remember watching him in college tear them legs up, and they ran him into the ground. And then Marcus Lattimore gets to the league. He's already been beat up before he gets to the league. Never really got a shot in the NFL. And now he's coaching at Lewis and Clark College. It's not even like he's coaching South Carolina. So for reasons like that, there's many other reasons, but these are type of reasons why I think you should be able to leave when you're ready to, because he got tore up in college. He would have got tore up in the NFL, but at least he would have had a chance to get paid. And a lot of times we try to do the whole protection of everybody, but this is football. You're going to get hurt regardless. You're going to get banged up regardless. If I think I'm ready to do it, why shouldn't I be able to make that decision? I know people say, well, they're playing with grown men and things like that. But I mean, at the same time, to be truthful, when you play high school football, you got 14-year-old freshmen. They play against 18, 19-year-old grown men on the field sometimes. And I ain't talking about Bishop Sycamore. I'm just talking about a regular high school. Because I remember me playing as a freshman and sophomore on varsity, and I was legit playing grown-ass men. Like, I specifically remember me being 185 pounds playing D-line, and I look across, he was a 300-pound dude. He could have took me out, but it is what it is. Nobody's trying to protect him. So if you are ready to go and then you feel like you're ready to go, that's up to you. It's up to the NFL teams. If you assess it and you think this player is good enough to play, then that is up to them. If I am, let's say, the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I decide I think Leonard Fournette is ready 3 years ago, why wait the 3 years for him at LSU? I'm drafting him right then and get him in. I look at a player like that. I don't know if Leonard Fournette gained anything else from the last extra 2 years of LSU except for extra mileage. The other thing I factor in now is we are adding more and more time to this college team. We talk about people not getting hurt. We don't have teams playing 16 games in college. So now we're talking about if you're a freshman, you're getting in early. We're talking about people playing 32 or 40-plus games in some cases before they actually even get to step on the NFL field. So you're probably wearing out their mileage before they even get there because you're still getting crushed. You're still playing these piles. And then we're going to sit here and wait until they get into the league. And now maybe you get these running backs, where John just alluded to in his rant earlier, who now they get hurt the second year in the NFL because they already got beat up in college way longer. We got college players right now, thanks to the COVID year. We got dudes in here 6 years in college. So once again, I got a freshman guy out here who's 18. Some of these dudes is 22, 23. I forgot what team it was. I know it was a punter, but I just saw somebody, what, a 34-year-old punter?
34-year-old punter, yeah.
Or whatever it was.
With
Remember
3
Brandon
kids.
Whedon at Oklahoma State? He was like 28 at Oklahoma State. You can be old as shit in college. So if you're ready to go get your money and the team's ready to do it, then that's by all means to you. Then take that risk. Because we ain't stopping you in no other sports. You want to go on tennis and you want to come out and you Coco golf, you want to start when you're young, that's fine. If you want to be Tiger Woods, you want to be a kid phenom, that's fine. The NBA only makes you do a year, but you can basically go to the G League if you want to be Scoot Henderson, and that's fine. The NFL, everybody talks about protecting people. This by nature is not a protecting game. That just isn't what we're in the business of. So you protect them for 2 extra years. I don't really think that really helps. Because some of the kids are going to leave. The thing I would do, to be honest, is I would maybe give them the option to be eligible for the draft if you're younger. And if you do not get drafted, you can go back into the college if you're not drafted. I would maybe give them that so then they're not at least stuck in limbo if they want to go back to college if they weren't drafted. So then the kid can at least go assess that I was drafted and I want to go back. Because that's what baseball does. You get drafted out there. And he said, well, I don't really want to go. I'm just go ahead and wait and go do some other shit. And then the team just has your rights. And then they go back. I think you maybe give them that type of ability if they can get drafted early, fine. Jay, what are your thoughts on this?
What Trey said, you took every great point possibly and just elaborated on all of them. No, I'm really.
It's the passion topic for me. Always.
Yeah, I mean,
moving right along.
Yeah, Stump the Squad. Here we go.
I'm a little torn here because for selfish reasons, I don't want to see what happened to college basketball, where all of a sudden the quality of the game just kind of took a nosedive for a little bit. And, you know, you're kind of left wondering how good could this player have been? And then they just don't exist in the NBA. Like, you don't see them. They go that young, they're riding the bench, they're unhappy, they lose their zest and passion for the game. I feel like we got cheated out of seeing great play and the opportunity to see them dominate in the same sport, even though it's not the same arena, being that it's college football and NFL. It's the same sport. At the end of the day, we're tuning in to watch football. We're not, hey, I'm excited for college football on Saturday and then NFL. So it's like, we're football fans. Give me a great football game, be it college or pro. So the selfish side of me is like, no, I want them to stay and play till they're 20 or 21, because the youngest player in the league right now is 21. I think he's a running back for the Chargers. And that's selfish reasons. On the other end, I also feel like, well, what if we let the 19-year-old or 20-year-old go into the league and he starts tearing the league up, and then they prove to everybody that, hey, I was ready, like Trey said, coming in out of high school, because they say the speed level changes from high school to pro, and then it changes again NFL. We know that. But if this person's coming in at Tyreek speed, it don't matter who's trying to defend you. They're coming in as a track star anyway. Tyreek was actually faster at 18 than he is now. So you're coming in so fast, you could dominate the game as a 19-year-old. I think that becomes the story of the year all of a sudden. Rookie wide receiver or whatever it is, dominating NFL at 19 or 20. And that changes the whole game for every kid. But what it might do is it might start making kids want to sit out their senior year of high school. Because they're like, I ain't risking shit. I'm going to play a game or two. I know this school already recruited me. And so it might have a trickle-down effect on high school game taking the biggest knock, because these kids are like, hell no. This school wants me. They talked to me since I was a sophomore. I'm going to go there and play a year and not making the jump. I'm not putting the miles on right now. I don't need to prove shit in high school. I already got my scholarship. I'm already getting my nil money, whatever it is. I'm going to sit out here. So I think when we look at the trickle-down effect of what this will do, it'll have a much bigger impact on the high school game and somewhat the college game. I think we'll still have a lot of kids stay because they can't make that jump. So selfish side, no, stay and give it to me. The practical side,
actually, Ewers basically did that senior year. Ewers basically played senior year.
Yeah.
So your trend, I think you're right. I think people are gonna do that in general. When I saw that, I said, "Oh, I think this might actually start happening," because he already knew he had the Ohio State offer, so he just wasn't impressed. He's like, "Well, what am I gonna go out here and tear something up and then be hurt?" And now I'm a setback a year. So I do very much agree with that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like for me, the way I look at it, it's like it's affecting the quality of the game somewhere, right? But the point I run with you on, Trey, is this: if the kid's ready, don't make him be your workhorse anymore. Let him go pro, let him get his 3-year contract. If the injury is going to happen in the pros, then at least the kid had his chance.
So I agree with Trey and Jamie, or Trey, I guess, because Jamie's kind of half and half with it. I see your point, Jay, with the college in the whole thing, in why they keep college basketball and college football to a limit in what you can do is for money, is to put these big games and everything. Because if you start letting guys go out like tennis players and, you know, golfers and everything like that, and hockey players and baseball players and all the rest of the sports, they don't have limits. If you're ready to go at 18, you're going. You can go to the league. But I mean, we're looking at one in NHL right now. You know, Connor Bedard. He's just turned 18 years old right before the draft, and he's already put up there with Connor McDavid as projected as second in points next year. So it's like at 18 years old, right? So when I look at this, I think of guys and I'm like, damn, like guys like Barkley, guys like Miles Sanders, guys like, you know, Melvin Gordon, guys like these type of guys, they tore it up so much in college, and then they get to the league and look at Barkley's first season, blows out his ACL. How do you know that wasn't already torn there, right? So when I look at it, that Barkley was ready to go to the NFL after his sophomore year, right? So, and same with Melvin Gordon, same with Jonathan Taylor. Caleb Williams was good after his freshman
right now.
Yeah.
But he's playing it smart, right? He said, as a quarterback, it's a little different. You're not taking the abuse that you are taking. You're protected a lot more in the NFL. The one point I have is when they get to the NFL ranks, right? I hear a lot. I've been watching a lot of documentaries on just, you know, a lot of NFL documentaries. And one of the things that they always say is that, you know, the young guys are always going up and picking the guys here. I think the best way you can learn and get better is play with better talent. That's how you're going to get better. So if you get drafted to a team, say you're a second string running back and you're behind Barkley, okay, well, now you're learning from one of the best running backs in the league, and then boom, he blows out his knee. Now you're in the game. Now you're in the game ready to go, and boom, now you get your opportunity. He teaches you throughout the season. I think the best way, and when I played, I played better when I play with better talent. If you're Boise State, you got the top guy, the top receiver in the draft. What is he benefiting by playing in the Mountain West, running past all these corners, no one touching him? What's he benefiting of? When he gets to the league, he's going to get thrown around. We're going to be like, damn, this guy was a joke. But no, because he wasn't playing against the right talent. So they should be able to go to the league whenever they want. There should be no restrictions at all. I understand. I'm a huge college football fan. I'm a huge college basketball fan. It did hurt the sport. But you know what? I don't think it really hurt the sport, because I think what made the sport great is when they had you can leave from high school in college basketball, because you had the players who weren't good enough to get to the NBA, and you had them staying for 3-4 years, and you had those rivalries, and you had everything like that. So having these guys stay for 3 years, yeah, it's benefiting, but it's also putting the wear and tear. We're seeing guys get hurt at an enormous rate in the NFL. Go through. I have the list right here, and each team has about 10 to 13 guys on their list, and it's unbelievable. And they're top guys, and it's like full participation, limited participation, and then like minor nicks and bruises. Right, you're going to get them, but 2 weeks into the season, and you got major injuries. Nick Chubb was, obviously unfortunate, but you got Barkley with an ankle injury. You got, Eckler fighting an ankle injury. You got guys that are Jalen Ramsey hurt his shoulder. And like Trey says, next year it's going to go to 12-team playoff. So if you're the 12th team and you play, and like say every year for 3 years, you're the 12th team and you go all the way to the championship game, that's 16 games you're playing a season. You're playing an NFL season anyways. So why not let the guy go be in the NFL? Bijan Robinson was ready to go to the NFL 2 years ago.
Yep.
Derrick Henry was good to go to the NFL after his freshman year.
He might be out of high school.
Ready out the
he was ready out of high school.
Ready out of high school.
There's a lot of talent out there that's ready to go.
Yeah.
And my opinion, why not let them? Let them go learn. Because unlike basketball, you can sit behind. You're not going to get bounced out of the league that quick. Because if you have talent and they draft you, they're going to be like, all right, we're going to put you behind this lineman. We're going to let you learn from, let's just say, Lane Johnson for a few years. And then we're going to throw you in the mix. That works better because now you have a fresh guy who hasn't had that much playing time, doesn't have wear and tear, and is a young, healthy 21-year-old that is coming in the league, instead of some of these linemen from Alabama that are coming in and then have bad ACLs, everything like that. So I just see it as a benefit for these players more than anything, because they're getting hurt at a higher rate. I mean, look how many injuries we have already.
But the highlights that forever echo in the halls of college football with the great calls may disappear forever, and those are
No, because I think some players
somebody who's going to dominate, even if it isn't.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's all because like college basketball, y'all still watch it, even if people do leave after a year. If you're a college basketball fan, you still enjoy Grady Dick or whoever playing.
I didn't enjoy last year without Shaden Sharp playing for Kentucky. I'll tell you that much.
Reason, but yeah.
I mean, you just look at the total. I mean, everyone thought when the one and dones were coming to college basketball was going to be ruined forever. There's really not that many one and dones. There is now more than ever, but realistically, now with the transfer portal and the NIL money, they can make money in college just as much as they make in the NFL. I think it's more about wanting to play in the league, right? And at the end of the day, you're going to get the players that want to play in the league because they can make NIL money. I mean, look at
here's a quick curve on that question. Do you think that they should now, like the XFL and these other leagues that are now opening up, do you think they should invite these kids in and be like, hey, make this your rehearsal, and if shit hits the fan, just go back and play for your school, because it's not like you made yourself eligible to draft. You just came and played here and just showed off your brand of football. So it kind of proves to them, am I ready to make? I mean, no, the quality does not even match the NFL. It's former players that kind of past their prime, but at least there's some semblance of you're playing with smarter people who kind of get the ins and outs of the leagues. If you really want them to learn, go learn there. They get that little trial run in the summer. You have all the scouts out there. Maybe it's more interesting because you have these big prospects you could use to, really highlight the game. Top receiver from college football playing for whatever, Birmingham Raptors. I don't know that name, but maybe that makes those leagues more significant because maybe these young kids make it more exciting.
If I was them, I would be moving kids out of high school and stuff. Honestly, if I was them, and selling, I would make people eligible out of high school if I was them. Because at the end of the day, maybe let's say Quinn Ewers went there for a year, but you said, all right, I'm gonna pay you $5 million. or $8 million, I just beat your NIL deal, and maybe I got a shot at getting you. And this already been done in history. USFL the first time, remember, that's what they did. They went out, and that's where like Eric Dickerson and Steve Young and them were like, no, we're not going to the NFL, because they offered them so much that they didn't go to the NFL. They went there instead because of the money. And when it didn't work out, they took their ass right to the NFL. So if I was Dwayne Johnson, those people over there running, I would definitely consider it, even for business sake, I would consider that.
Well, in that sense, I would also consider, and Trey and I have talked about it, is if I was Dwayne Johnson, which I see it going towards, is having, like a G League for NFL, getting with, Roger Goodell and going over an opportunity for these guys on the practice squad. Reason why you do this is because, say you got to call how many times do we call someone up off the practice squad, right? And they don't look like they're ready, right? Because they're not. They're in the practice squad, dude. At the end of the day, you're not going to get the same feel in practice that you are. Just like the preseason, you're not going to get the same feel than you are in the game one. So playing in these leagues as, like, let's just say a farm system actually benefits the team better, because the guy's playing, and say we need the 4th-string running back, or in 49ers case, we need the 4th-string quarterback, 5th-string quarterback last year. Say they got by the Eagles, they would have been searching, right? They didn't have any quarterback on the roster that was healthy. So it's like, in that aspect, I say, why not Dwayne Johnson get with Roger Goodell and say, hey, why don't we be a farm system for you guys? We'll pay them. We'll do our own thing, but we'll be a farm system, kind of like what the NBA did with the G League. Now the G League is more of a farm system than it's ever been. When it first was there, it was just a separate league. It was kind of like what the USFL was when it first came out. Trey, you can quote me if I'm wrong, but it was kind of like some separate league that was ran by the NBA, but it wasn't a part of the team.
Yeah, really. It was different.
But now it's more of a farm system for each team. It's like the Heat have Sioux Falls, or Orlando has Lakeland. Like, they have these farm systems where they pull from these teams if they need players. So that would be a good way to, move into that type of realm for these leagues. And I see it going that way, since the XFL and USFL are starting to merge.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is probably the future of football. I don't know. I guess I'm just the type of err on the side of caution. I'm just concerned for these kids that, like, great, you got to the league and you got a chance to get paid. You blew your knee out in camp. Cool, you got your rookie deal, which is fine, but now you have no alternatives. If your career's over, you have no alternatives.
Well, if they get drafted,
I'm concerned you don't have an alternative when you blow your knee out the third year of college, and then you didn't.
But that's the thing. You're in college.
Yeah, but that's not guaranteed anything.
But then your stock drops. So your stock drops.
No,
your stock drops.
I'm not talking about football. I'm talking about your future.
No, because I'm gonna stop you there. Everybody don't want to go to college. What if I want to be a barber? And that's my actual backup plan. Me going to get a degree.
You get your education whatever you want.
Yeah, because I may not even, because people always try to promise the college thing is, well, these kids go to college, we're giving free education. Free education only means something if I want the education. What if I want to be a mechanic and I like to work on cars? What if I want to be an artist and I want to paint? Me going to take a business degree doesn't really help me. All I did was me spend 3 years, I blew my knee out, and I still go back to try to go to be an artist because that's what I want to do. What if I want to be a rapper? What if I want to be a poet? Like, college doesn't always guarantee that's what I want to do. Kids are required to go to college to play because that is what they tell them they have to do. Everybody's success path is not college. So that is where, no, I vehemently disagree with, but you're still in college, because Cardell Jones said this a long time ago. I ain't come here to play college. I came here to play football. That's the dude who didn't want to be in college. Now, eventually he changed his mind and the degree became worth it for him. But some of these kids, the degree may not be worth it, because I look at somebody like my barber who makes a decent amount of money, and if he would have went to go play college football and then he blew his knee out, he still was going to end up going to be a barber because that's what he enjoyed doing. So all he would have did is waste 3 years, blow his knee out, and then waste, the money and time in college. So no, college ain't always just what it is. And college ain't guaranteed nobody. Ain't none of us get out of college and get guaranteed a 6-figure job. And we all went to college here. So nah, I'm not going with that.
And the other thing with that is, ultimately, if they blow out their knee and they're done with their, like, say they're done with their career and stuff, they're going to take away their scholarship. So a lot of these kids are probably not going to finish college because they don't want to go back and pay $60,000 a year. So a lot of times they'll take the scholarship away. Sometimes they'll grant it and say, hey, yeah, we'll give you a scholarship even though you're done. But, like, at least with a rookie deal, when you're coming in, the guy's fresh, right? You get a 5-year deal. You're on like a $2 million a year. At least if he blows his knee out, okay, now I got money in my pocket, and now I can do one of those crafts. Versus in college, you blow out your knee, and the guy goes, well, give me my scholarship, and now I have nothing. right? Now I got to find a way to pay for school. So I think that's where I'm leaning towards is not, like Trey said, it's not everyone wants to go to college, and no one wants to rack up that debt.
Okay, I understand that, but my other concern with letting them leave early is the chance you're going to get these kids that just want to go to the league, whether they're ready or not. They're just going to go.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? Would you, if you had the opportunity to skip the line, why would you not skip the line? If you could have gotten you a good job and made money out of high school, why would you have taken an extra 5 steps if you could have skipped the line just for the hell of it?
Because I don't know if I can get that job. The thing is, I'm talking about the kids that are going to leave. All of a sudden, they don't get drafted. And if they don't have that, they can go back thing that you mentioned, which I think would be a good thing, then it's over. Like they can't play football anymore because they went pro.
Okay. Unless the
signed an agent.
But
that same thing you just said, that could still happen. How many athletes go play 4 years, they don't get drafted, and it's still over? It still could be over at any minute. It could be over on the first time I take an ISO. I take a 32 ISO on the first play of my freshman year. It could be over. It could be over at any minute. So let me capitalize while I have a chance to capitalize if I want to bet on myself. Because the thing about it is, I'm confident now to bet on myself. You are now not giving me the ability to bet on myself. I believe in me. That's what I feel like. And I feel like that's what most of these athletes are. You're not taking ability out of myself to believe in me. I believe in me. The New York Giants believe in me because they drafted me. But now you're saying because a whole bunch of old-ass dudes up in the university who basically making all these millions of dollars told me I can't. Now I got to just sit here and bet on myself to hope I don't get hurt or maybe play a year. Because if I'm Caleb Williams this year, I don't even know if I would even play this season if I was Caleb Williams. What is Caleb Williams game this year?
Back-to-back Heisman. Hell yeah. Make history.
But other than the history,
forever.
But he's talking about league, right? Like
Caleb Williams could have not played this year and he'd still be number 1 pick.
Yeah,
so I
agree with that.
Yeah,
like Mike, to your point, like if the kids want, like when you're 18, you got to make decisions. You're a grown person at that point. You're a grown man, grown female, whatever. Like you're grown, and at this point, you got to make decisions. If those decisions have consequences. So if you're not the top tier and you're not the top tier, but you're like, fuck it, I'm going to the NFL. My 2 boys who are going to get drafted 1 and 2 are going to the NFL. I'm going with them. It's like, okay, take your shot. But the risk. Risk.
It is always a risk. Even if you go to college as a regular student, it's a risk. Just because you go to college don't mean you're going to graduate. Plenty of people go to college that don't graduate. It's a risk. Some people go to college knowing my kid ain't that smart, and their mama keeps saying, you need to go to college, you need to go to college. And they get there, they flame out, they back home in a year. That kid is now racked up extra $30,000 student loan debt for no reason. This happens all the time because, like John said, that is a risk you're willing to take because you are now an 18-year-old adult. And even if I did, let's say, get to the league and I skipped and I flamed out, and I did make $2 million and I flamed out, I now have $2 million. If I really want to go to college, I have $2 million in my pocket. I can go back to college if I want to, but at least I had the opportunity to do that and take my own risk. That's all I'm saying.
All right, guys. So as if people didn't know that I have a pure admiration for Novak Djokovic, that has exponentially increased 100-fold now after what he did in his U.S. Open celebration when he was handed over the U.S. Open title and he proclaimed himself as the all-time greatest men's tennis player. Novak Djokovic did one of the most touching tributes in which, since he won number 24, he took his jacket off, which had a 24 patch on it right here by his heart. And when he unzipped it, he had a T-shirt on with his face and Kobe's face that said Mamba Forever on it. And on the back, it had 24. Now, what he had done in the tournament, he said he had thought about it. And then a week into the tournament, obviously, he felt like, I think I can win this thing. That's what you call a winning mentality or the Mamba mentality. He said, hey, I want this to happen. He told his team, let's make it happen. They made the shirt. He revealed it. He took it off. And what he said to the fans was, Kobe was always there for me in my hard times, because he also went through a similar situation where his career was almost derailed through injury. And he said when he reached out to Kobe, they were close friends. He gave him guidance and support, which was unconditional whenever he needed it. And even his wife, Vanessa, went out and tweeted afterwards and put up pictures and photos of Novak. And obviously it touched her. But this was a symbolic proportion to the world. But what it was to me was true class. Not only is this man the greatest of all time, but he took that moment to thank somebody else for his success. And that speaks volumes to me that Novak Djokovic is not just a champion on the tennis court, but he's a champion in life, because he spoke from the heart and delivered a message to millions of people that this has never been about me. This has been about me adopting the Mamba mentality, and I miss him. and I wish he was here, but this one is for you. Number 24, the Mamba, Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace. Novak Djokovic, you are my favorite champion. Well, let me tell you what you guys have the opportunity to do right now. You have the opportunity to prove whether people can think of you guys are that smart. Because I don't think it's been working out pretty well for all of you for the last couple of weeks on our favorite segment of the show. John, you want to take us away here? Because I think y'all need to prove to everybody here that you are that smart. Because y'all been letting me down, fellas. Y'all have me thinking like I'm just that sports knowledge guy right now. Whoa.
It is our favorite time of the evening or afternoon, whatever you watching this. It is Stump the Squad, where Jamie will take it away as a 4-0 victory or 4-1-0.
I'm already holding. I'm posing for what it's going to look like in the future here. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's your favorite segment on radio, podcast, wherever you're listening, YouTube, you're watching this right here. It's time for Stump the Squad. And it's just been a pure domination right here. I've earned my name rights back, so it's been all about Mr. J right here. Took the victory last week, going for another one this week. And here's how we do it. We ask each other questions. We try to pretend like we don't know everything, so we just want to humble ourselves. But this week, let's not be humble. Let's show people what we're about, guys. -2 if you get it wrong, +2 if you get it right. Person with the most points at the end of Stump the Squad gets the dub of the week. Give me number 6 because you know it's about to happen. Mike, I'm going to let you ask the first question this evening.
All right. So we talk about the kids going to the NFL, the young guys going to the NFL. So, gentlemen, please tell me, who is the youngest player to ever be drafted to the NFL? Youngest player ever drafted in the NFL. Is it A, Daniil Hunter, B, Amobi Okoye, C, Tremaine Edmonds, or D, Elmer Angsman?
Elmer Angsman, huh?
I'm going to go with A.
Saying that with a big smile like you're trying to hide.
Okoye.
I'm going to go with A.
So you're going with Daniil Hunter?
Yes.
So we got a Hunter and an Okoye. Tremaine Edmonds.
Tremaine Edmonds.
Okay, so Jamie's got Edmonds, Trey's got Okoye, and John has Hunter.
He stumped us all over it.
Okay. Today I have successfully stumped Jamie and John. It is Amobi Okoye.
I actually remember that literally being said on his draft day.
Yeah,
nice.
he was 19 when he was drafted.
I remember that.
Wow.
He was 20 by the time the season started, but on draft day, he was 19 years old.
Nice.
All right, Trey, you're up.
Okay, so we got an interesting week coming up. We got my Ohio State Buckeyes and Mike's Notre Dame fighting.
You can say it louder.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so we have my Ohio State Buckeyes and Mike's Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, they've had a lot of interesting matchups. They've played against each other 7 times. By the way, Ohio State leads the series 5-2. Just going to throw that out there as a side fact. But they've had some interesting matchups, including what was called the game of the century in 1935. But we're not talking about that game today. We're going to talk about more happy times. The times we were going to talk about is what happened with the 2015 season, which ended up being the 2016 Fiesta Bowl. Now, as we always know, Ohio State and Notre Dame are 2 of the most prestigious colleges as far as football in the country. I will give Notre Dame their props on that. Notre Dame is an 11-time champ. Ohio State is an 8-time champ. There are many NFL players that have played for both franchises. As I said, the 2015-16 season was a very fun time. They played in the Fiesta Bowl. My question is, on that Fiesta Bowl, how many players on the rosters of those 2 teams total played or actually made an NFL roster at some point in their career? That does include preseason. That is a combined stat between the 2 teams there. So, first answer we have is 37, 44, 58, or 69.
A lot higher than I thought.
44.
Gee, I wonder why John's going with 44.
Why?
Syracuse.
Jay, what do we have?
37, 44.
37, 44, 58, 69.
God, like 58 would be the whole damn team on both sides. I guess I'll just follow John here. 44.
Okay, so I have 44 for Jay, 44 for John, and I have, 58 for Mike?
58.
Okay, so today I have successfully, just like the Ohio State Buckeyes, stumped the squad. The answer to that question is 69 players. There were 69 players.
Jeez.
And like I said, total on the roster.
Giggity.
Some of these people are freshmen, some were young, but they all, whether they got to an NFL team and flamed out the preseason, they actually made it. Just to give you a couple quick examples, like I said, because both of these teams are always loaded. Notre Dame's team, just give you a couple people. Will Fuller, Equimini St. Brown, Quinn Nelson was on that team. Jalen Smith, Deshaun Kaiser. On my Ohio State Buckeyes that year, Michael Thomas, Joey Bosa, Joe Burrow was the fourth string quarterback on that team. Ezekiel Elliott, Marshawn Lattimore, J.T. Barrett, just to give you some examples. Those were some exciting times, some exciting players. And this Saturday is going to be another exciting one with a lot of pros on that field. So we're going to see what's going to happen. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it off next to John. Let's see what you got.
Howdy. Well, Jamie, as you know, you shouldn't follow my suit. I haven't got a question right in 6 shows, so
I just jumped on your bandwagon.
you shouldn't have jumped on my. No, I have not got a question, Mike.
No.
Yeah, you did. You
What was
got
I
one
thinking?
last week.
You got one. You got one.
Yeah, you got mine. Everybody got mine.
Yeah, it doesn't really count. I mean, I'm always okay. 1 in 20. Thank
Still
you.
the one.
No, it
Still
doesn't matter. All right, so University of Oklahoma has the longest winning streak in college football history. How many games is that streak? Is it 40, 55, 43, 45?
43.
What were my answers again?
40, 55, 43, 45.
45.
Okay.
40.
40 for Jamie. I have successfully stumped Jamie and Trey. It is 43.
I'm out.
And we do not have another champion from Jamie.
I did a John this week and got all wrong.
So the scores are at
Was a group
me at
effort.
-4, Trey and Mike at 0. So it could be a 3-way tiebreak, or it could be between Trey and
All right, so let me
Mike.
bring it home here in spectacular fashion because I went crashing down like the New York Jets' chances of making the playoffs this year. Which team is riding a 10-game win streak in the regular season? Which NFL team, I should say, is riding a 10-game win streak in the regular season and holding opponents to under 20 points? Is it the Cowboys, the Saints, the Chiefs, or the Titans?
Titans.
Yeah, actually,
Thanks.
that's Titans.
God damn it, Mike.
Titans for John, Titans for Mike.
And that was a 10-game winning streak.
Which team is riding a 10-game? Sorry, let me. It's not win streak. I have to read. Which team is riding a 10-game streak in which they held their opponents to under 20 points? So it's not win streak.
Okay.
It's which team is riding a 10-game streak, not win streak, in the regular season, holding opponents to under 20 points?
Say the teams again, man. I thought it was winning streak.
Cowboys, Saints, Chiefs, Titans.
Cowboys. I'm
Stay
changing
with
my
Titans.
answer.
You're sticking with the Titans?
Yeah.
Trey, who you got?
I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Boom, boom, baby. I stumped the squad tonight with that one because I had an easy question last week. It's actually the New Orleans Saints who's deep.
I was
It is absolutely
right
legit.
the first time. I was trying
All
to
right.
end the season trending. I knew it wasn't the Titans, but
Yeah. Because they just played a game where like 30 points in that game. I thought
That's
if y'all
what I
knew
knew
the
it
score, you would have known. Yep.
All right, so we have a tie between Trey and Mike at -2, and I have a question, but it's kind of recent. So let me do the math on it.
kind of crazy. I actually had a backup question today too. I never did.
Um,
Let's do my backup question.
Week 77.
No,
So-
let's not do his backup
No,
question.
I don't
I
know.
want no, because I.
all right, so it's going to be a WNBA question because it's the only thing I can see right now. Connecticut Sun and the Minnesota Lynx combined for how many points tonight? in tonight's win? What was the combined score?
With tonight's game, you mean?
Yeah, closest to answer.
Who won the game 5, by the way? Who won?
Huh?
You don't got to give the score, just who won.
Oh, Connecticut. All right, so Trey and Mike, what is the total combined score for this game?
Combined.
123.
Trey says 123.
112.
Can I guess?
No.
Just for fun?
Sure.
149.
And tonight's Stump the Squad winner is TreyDay with his first victory. It is 165 points.
65.
And I
on the board.
So Jamie has 5 wins. Mike has 1. Trey has 1. And I haven't got off the bench yet. Because I've gotten 1 question right since we started this. So TreyDay, you are week 77 and you are on the board with 1 win.
Finally on the board.
As everyone knows, we will be crowning a champion of Stump the Squad on episode 100. TreyDay, congratulations on your week 77 win.
I'm just happy I didn't get shut out for the entire 25 weeks.
I'm on a streak right now of my own. I'm competing with the Lions and the Browns right now for 0-16.
So, John, we got 2 head-to-heads this week. We're head-to-head in our fantasy league.
Yes, sir.
And our teams are playing each other on Monday night.
Yep.
So here's what we're gonna do. If it's a split, then the bet's off. Meaning if I beat you in fantasy, but the Eagles win, no bet. So, but if I win fantasy and the Bucs win, I win. If you win fantasy and the Eagles win, you win. So fantasy can be the tie. It can reel the bet back in where like you can make up the grounds, or we can double it up.
All right. So if I win, you have to buy me the pumpkin spice protein cookies, and if you win, I'll buy you, I don't know, lettuce.
I'll raise the stakes. if you win, I'll come see you. If I win, you got to come up and see me.
All right. Sounds good.
Nice.
Deal?
Okay.
Yeah, deal.
Yeah, we live in the same state if y'all didn't realize. He's in South Florida and dirty South, SoFlo style living. I'm in Central Florida, which is pretty much little Cuba in Tampa. So.
Sounds good. So we have head-to-head matchups. The Buccaneers are playing his Buccaneers versus my Eagles, and then we're playing each other in fantasy. Trey and Mike are playing each other, or no, not playing each other, but their collegiate teams are playing each other.
Now we're both the quarterbacks.
I'm suiting up.
Yeah, me too.
They're playing each other. They're quarterbacks. See you later, Matt Hartman. Here comes Mike DeSanto. Isn't that your quarterback? Or Sam
Hartman? Yep, Sam Hartman, yeah.
Yeah,
60-year senior Matt Hartman, yes.
Behind there and intimidate everybody. On
Oh,
the
man.
60-year senior Sam Hartman, 23 years old.
Yep.
Well, fellas, any final thoughts going into the weekend of this great weekend of football games?
Go Irish.
Go Blue.
Baker freaking Mayfield for the win.
And if you haven't already, go get yourself a Fans Idea jersey. They are great material. They're stitched, so they're real jerseys. They're really nice. Put your logo on it. You can put your logo on the side here on your patch. Put your name on the back, favorite number, whatever you want. But get yourself 10% off with Cinco Squad 10. Make sure you go do that. Check it out. Let us know what you think. And if you guys do get a jersey, make sure you tag us in it on your social media platforms so we can repost it on our story. So, fellas, thanks for a great another week. We are going to episode 78 next week. We got week 3 of college, week 3 NFL, week 4 college football. It's madness, and Cinco Squad is out. See you next week, everyone.